Hey, my name is Badass Banny. Welcome to my channel. If you're an ACE, AMAC, and sex human trafficking survivor, you're in the right place. And it won't cost you a penny to like and subscribe and to share worldwide. And please leave your comment down below on the video. Today is storytelling and why I didn't speak up about sexual assaults. I remember when my stepdad and my mom got into a fight. I was downstairs and I went upstairs to go find out what was going on. And I can hear, my stepdad saying, go ahead and, and stab me or something, and like that. And as soon as my stepdad saw me, man, rage. So I got pushed down the stairs, hit the door. We're talking 2 stories. And I'm about 9. And I hit the door. The cops were called. I do remember being on the couch and my mother saying, loose lips sink ships. And after that, I was put in the aluminum trailer for a good decade. And we moved right around the corner in town, in the city. And I was living in the trailer outside of the house. And so I always felt like, like when I got in my 50s, I'm 57, so this is recently in the last 6 years that or 7 years that I've been putting all this together at a more deeper level, because I have always remembered my sexual assaults. I always remembered the things that happened. And except for the one, when I went every Thursday at 10 in the morning to RCI, Rape Crises Intervention. I took my sexual inventory from AA, and we went over it every week. And I just couldn't get past something. And then I did EMDR in my late 40s and went deeper and remembered. And as soon as I told my mother, who was a marriage family therapist, that I was going to be doing EMDR, she started to make space between us, because she knew I remembered the truth. And my brother, I've been talking about my flashbacks and things. I think when I got into the Indian community in my 30s, when I broke my neck, that's when I started healing. That's when I started talking. And I had a small 5'2" woman named Rocky. She stood in front of me, and I'm yelling at her like the wind, just like, she's like, you're a very angry person, and I'm like, you don't know me, and all these Indian women and people are looking, and men, and they're looking over the windows, looking in, because they were scared of me. And I had no idea that I was like that, had that, edge. And, it took a lot of work. I did anger management. I would go to these classes where people were, the judges would send them to, and I was trying, in recovery, I knew it was angry, so how do I deal with it, and one thing was never to feed it, not to feed the anger. And I know with the kidnap and rape, it took me until like 50 years old when I got in touch with my teen self, and they actually cried, like something happened, and I was just, I'm not real sure how it all happened. It just happened. And I'm grateful that I got in touch with my teenage self, because they were very, very angry and rageful and about injustices and things like that. And then so I remember, and I think one of the reasons why my mother put me in that trailer was to keep, because I had a big mouth, and to keep me quiet. And also LGBT, and to keep me quiet. Because in the 80s, if you were LGBT, you'd get bullied and killed and, raped and all kinds of stuff. And I remember her scaring the crap out of me about the county behavioral health, like they were going to come and take me away. She used it as control, and she scared the shit out of me. I was scared of my mother most of my life. And, and then recently not taking accountability and saying, yeah, these things did happen when I was a kid, having these memories. And she said, it's my imagination. It's hurtful and harmful, especially if you're an MFT, and toxic. So, I'm talking now. You see all these videos, so you're my witnesses. This is my truth. And I've been in therapy. I started at 12 until I was 48. And I got to a place where I want more joy and love and live life. And then here we're living in an environment we're living in. I feel like, I'm this adult body, and I've gotten in touch with all the developments of myself where I was traumatized and worked through it. And car crashes and stuff, feeling feelings, working through it. And I found my heart through it. And I got that connection between the mind and heart. I've done Native American sweat lodges to 12-step program work, therapy, feeling feelings, working through it, writing, journaling. I had a addiction or a journal from my stepdad gave to me, and I had it since like high school. My ex went right through my stuff and ripped it out. I had those kinds of people in my life with poor boundaries. They're mean and abusive, and I don't tolerate it anymore. No more people pleasing here. No more fixing and coda stuff, saving. I can't save nobody. Can't control nothing. So I'm also growing up, and you're a sexual assault survivor, a kid. Sometimes you can't connect with the other kids because you're more mature, than them because of what happened emotionally and everything, and it's very difficult to connect to your peers. And so I've had those kinds of problems. I've just been very quiet. And some people felt intimidated by me. And, sometimes, I frown because my eyes squint and I need glasses. They think I'm mad, but I'm not mad. I've learned to be assertive than being passive aggressive. And actually you got to get in there and change the behaviors. And I'm not perfect. I have a shadow side like everybody. We all have a shadow side, and I accept that as a sexual assault survivor. So when I get stressed out, sometimes I want to have sex. And it's not like with everybody, it's just I want to have sex like a release, tension. And gotten myself in some high risks because of then my self-worth and worthiness came up, like I'm not important and all that, in which, no, I am. So you always feel like you're getting ahead, and then you get, in your sexual assault healing, you get ahead so far, and then you get regress back, and that's okay. It's just the way it is sometimes. And some people, they don't remember their sexual assaults because they put it in the way back of their head. And eventually a trigger, it could be a person, place, or thing, a smell, anything that will trigger the memories. And then people will drink down it, put a heroin in their arm, or sex with many people that have maybe have diseases, and they just self-harm, self-destructive behavior. I've done that, been there. So yeah, I've always known most of the time, and the things, that one part, I had to work through it. And sometimes when you do EMDR, you have to be careful not to get re-traumatized, and I have. And being a sensitive and an ESP person, and I do believe that if you're a sexual assault survivor, sometimes our senses are heightened, our sixth sense, and like sometimes if people touch my arm, I'll have visions in my brain. And for example, I had a physical therapist, and I see this little boy. I had this vision of a little boy in glasses, and I saw the Kool-Aid guy from the TV ad, and I told the physical therapist what I'm seeing. He says, "Well, that might sound like my son. He's about 3 years old, and he has glasses, and he loves Kool-Aid." So, things like that. It could be animals. I don't know. So, and then rooms. One thing about sexual assault survivors is that if you have a whole room full of people, it's just no way. Anxieties like that, right? So working through all my sexual assault stuff, I'm still heightened to and pick up a bunch of people's energy. It could be negative, whatever it is, I pick up on it in a room full of people, and I can be sick, and it takes me days to recoup. And what's mine and what's other people's, like energy. That's what I mean. And I can talk this way. I've been trained as I always thought psychic stuff was a bunch of baloney, but there are people who have gifts, like myself. And my mom always kind of poo-pooed it, like either people will think you're crazy, or people, gravitate you and never have a life or something, and I think these are important things to talk about. So, gifts too as well. And that could be another video. But I really wanted to talk about, as a kid, why I didn't tell, because I was instructed not to, and scared. But my mother, she doesn't think so, but she's an addict, and we call it the evil eye. I thought I had made those words up. And she'd give you a look, boy howdy. And is my abuser. And I believe still using like medications or something besides other illicit drugs to, deal with her own stuff. And it's caused such a ruin to our relationship. As I got healthier, making boundaries, got a lot of flack. Even my little brother has I got a different story. I said, you weren't even born. I have an older brother, and he has a lot of hate, and I don't want that. I don't hate my perps. Forgive and let go. But our bodies have their memories of it, and it's gotten better for me. For example, I think we're talking about sex relations on here. I'm not real sure yet, but, that has affected me. I had to ask myself to, as an adult, because of my sexual assault, AMAC issues, is it because I'm trans because of that? No, it's totally separate issues. And I had to work through my sexual assault issues to get to where I'm at. And, um, excuse me, um, and I'm grateful for the people who believed me. And like I said, I'm in my 50s now, put all the pieces together, puzzle pieces, and the flashbacks, and the work, and, um, the, now I want to experience a healthy relationship, a sexual healthy relationship with another person. What does that look like? What does that feel like? You know? And I guess I have some higher standards because of it. I mean, who wants to have a broken heart, you know? I put myself out there. And another thing is I don't tell all. But, if you're hooking up and you're single and you show your genitalia, who cares? You're adults. And that's the whole reason. You know, and if I'm just older. Things have changed. And I just feel like I'm not the bridge for people anymore. Just, here's my story. And if it helps you, great. Because I do believe we're here on this earth to help each other, learn life's lessons, earth lessons, and to help each other and love each other unconditionally if we can. And it starts with ourselves, self-love, and all that. And that starts with working. If you got sexual assault issues and abuse, you must look at it because it destroys people and families and just so much destruction. Look what's going on right now. It is not normal. It is not okay with what is going on. It is highly sick and toxic. And as a society, we cannot allow this to happen, especially with the perps and abusers getting away with no responsibility, accountability. And it's in black and white right there that they're rapists and child murderers. We can't turn a blind eye or deny it or cover up or people who do that, to me, are survivors and are protecting their abusers like they were when they were kids. You wouldn't believe how many wounded people there are in the world that are sexual assault survivors, and we're all acting like 5-year-olds, in an adult body. And all these stupid wars and killing innocent children is so sick. And it will come back to sexual assault. I'll guarantee it. Thank you for listening. God bless you. And if you're having a hard time, pick up the phone and tell someone, I don't feel good. And feel the feelings and keep checking in with people, places, and things. And remember that you're worthy of the work. So, what are you going to do to take care of yourself today?